Hello everyone, FTDZMMAY here, back with another episode of Bloons CD6, and this time we're going to be seeing if Comanche Commander is good enough to beat Bloonarius. I believe this is the first heli pilot I have done so far. I figured why not. Apache Prime I figured could definitely be yes. Marine I decided to hold off until later, until there's a water map allowed so I can actually, get Energizer and whatnot. And so I figured, why not Comanche? Comanche used to be one of the best towers in the very, very early days of BT6. I wasn't around for that, but I believe the reason was because, the mini Comanches that Comanche Commander spawned was affected by alk buff. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case. Since they are considered sub-towers, they aren't affected like, like things like, alk buff. But I do believe that they, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe they're affected by overclock, though. But of course, getting affected by alk buff is a huge, huge buff, as I do believe it's like a 33% damage increase, because I do believe that the mini Comanches do 2 damage per shot. But then again, I don't really read the wiki too much, and that information is not really available in the game. Anyways, first life I've done, seeing if Comanche Commander is able to beat Bloonarius. So far, majority of the towers I have picked have been able to beat Bloonarius, although I've been choosing the more expensive, strong towers. There have been quite a few here and there, like Elite Defender and Ray of Doom, like before pre-buffed, but you won't find the Ray of Doom video as I delete it. And yes, the map is from Alpine Run. I know that this is a very long ago, but I figured, why not record and just release this footage anyway, seeing as, I already have it, and I figured, and why not just waste footage. So for tier 1, it's just kind of pretty simple, just kind of sell and get some minor support for Comanche defense, as I kind of assumed that, Comanche defense was going to be enough. Although a problem I noticed right away is that the kind of miniature AI, not the miniature AI Bloons, the AI Bloons, the greens that Bloonarius spawns, is triggering the mini Comanches, just way too early. Also, pursuit targeting is dumb, so I ended up switching it to follow mouse, but then again, I kind of just end up doing the same thing anyway, so figured, might as well just kind of switch it back to pursuit eventually. So I guess that is kind of a problem with, heli pilots, but thankfully the mini Comanches were back up for the first ceramic wave that Bloonarius spawned. That was kind of a thing that I was worried about, since, the AI greens was triggering a bit too early, that we weren't going to have the mini Comanches for the ceramic wave. But thankfully that wasn't the case, and isn't the case for, the rest of the tiers, so thankfully that wasn't really too worried about. Comanche Commander did, not Comanche Commander, Comanche defense, was doing pretty well against tier 1. I don't really expect this to be meta in any way, shape, or form. But I guess, if you are wanting to do something new for, I guess, normal, this won't work on elite. I guess you could always try, Comanche Commander, or just kind of super buffing the tower in general. Definitely a lot more interesting than, just going like Sticky Bomb, then Mad, then Dart Paragon, then, Temples, and Paragons and whatnot. But I guess it is something new. Fortunately, can't really try this out on elite due to how difficult it is. But Comanche defense with some light support is easily able to take down tier 1, which is, kind of a good sign, seeing as that you only need alk buff and, just jungle drums. Comanche defense is doing fairly well. I am thinking about trying out a hero for the next week of Bloonarius, although I'm not really too sure about that, seeing as how hard Monkeyopolis was hit with the nerf. Tier 2, again, was just kind of pretty simple. Light support yet again, and just get, Comanche Commander this time. Figure that, might as well, Comanche Commander will probably do a lot better than, just like getting, Overclock and Perm Brew, kind of whatnot, as well as being cheaper. I did put a Spike Factory in the back just to catch any leakers from the Bloons that Bloonarius spawns, but again, this is normal, so it only spawns yellows, which is easily handleable by Comanche Commander. Although if I wanted to, I could, just kind of change the targeting and just kind of have Comanche Commander focus solely on Bloonarius, while, the Spike Factory just kind of cleans up everything. But again, I eventually just kind of sold it, seeing as it wasn't really doing anything. Just kind of help farming out in general. Which, again, farming is definitely a lot slower. I am kind of feeling that, Monkeyopolis nerf. It's a shame that, there hasn't been too many maps that has a whole lot of water to actually use Trade Empire, which I guess is intentional, seeing as, with the map with Trade Empire, the Bloonarius would be way too easy for that week. It would definitely be kind of a pushover with how, efficient Trade Empire is. I believe that, even before Monkeyopolis nerf, Trade Empire was more efficient than, kind of Monkeyopolis and whatnot, which is crazy, but I mean, it does take a while to actually set up, which I guess is a fair trade-off, if I'm being too honest. Looking at the damage from tier 2, Comanche Commander, again with some light buffs, is doing pretty well. Not really amazing for a tier 5, if I'm being too honest. I do believe that Elite Defender actually did do better than this, although I guess it is a sniper, so Elite Defender does excel at single target damage. But even still, kind of for a tier 5, it is a very, very slow kill. It does kill it eventually, but compared to all the other tier 5s that we've done, it's definitely not anything too, I guess, special or like kind of interesting. It's just kind of meh, is doing alright. And I kind of feel like that's kind of the most accurate description of Comanche Commander. It's kind of meh. People just end up going for Prime or Marine over Comanche Commander. Although I do feel like Comanche Commander can still have its uses in some cases. But overall, still a fairly easy tier 2 kill, if I do say so myself. Alright, so tier 3 again, still getting a bit more heavier buffs. Now we've got, Call to Arms as well as Ultra Boost and Alk buff. I went for Homeland next, although I probably should have went for Permabrew, seeing as, with the addition of Call to Arms and Homeland, Comanche Commander is just burning through the Alk buff, like, insanely quickly. And so it is just, like, just burning oil incredibly fast. So, I guess it was kind of a blunder on my part, but I kind of figured that, double attack speed and double pierce from Homeland would do pretty good, but I think Permabrew might have done better, as, you do get +1 damage to MOAB class Bloons. Now, something I kind of, I guess, forgot to do was actually sell the Overdrive in Alchemist when Bloonarius spawn. At least I don't have to worry about it doing too much damage, seeing as, again, like, even with Overdrive there, the damage isn't really going up too much. Plus, Homeland is helping out a bit, so I guess it was kind of a mistake on my part. I'm not even sure why I didn't actually sell it, but, again, it doesn't really matter too much. Comanche Commander is still going to be doing most of the damage, just due to the fact that it's global range. And, Overdrive at this point isn't too good unless, you combine it with, Super Brittle as well as, Glue Strike. But now I'll have to wait till later. And I probably should have gotten Glue Strike since, Comanche does respond strongly to, like, kind of damage adders, like Super Brittle as well as Glue Strike, due to the fact that, Comanche has pretty low base damage. I think the main dart only does, like 2 or 3 damage, which isn't a whole lot. But because of this, it does get affected, like, greatly. Responds really strongly to kind of those damage givers or damage adders, like, of course, like Alchemist or Zerbil. And, like, I continue farming here, but kind of looking at the damage here, it's not looking too great. It is slowing down kind of significantly. Yes, we don't really have all the buffs yet. Like, we're still missing Ultra Boost and getting those 10 stacks, as well as Temple. And for this week of Bloonarius, if you don't remember, True Sun God was banned, although I don't really think the True Sun God buff is really kind of needed too much here. Now, even after giving the Sharpening Stone, still not doing too great is a thing, which kind of does leave me a bit worried for, tiers 4 and tier 5, seeing as, like, at this point, the only buffs we can actually give is, Temple and Ultra Boost. I do believe that's all the buffs I can actually give at the current moment, as well as, just kind of Sharpening Stone and Camel Potion from Geraldo, as well as, like, the Rejuve, but again, that's kind of an indirect buff. But even, like, kind of even so, just kind of looking at the damage, there isn't really too many more buffs we can actually give at this rate, and the damage isn't really doing too great. Kind of does, like, kind of show, that, Comanche definitely does fall behind, just kind of a bit. Now, just due to the fact that, Monkeyopolis was nerfed, I kind of thought, maybe why not try out Monkeyonomics? If I just get Monkeyonomics, stall the round as much as possible, I can get, 30,000 each round, which of course, is incredibly good and insanely, well, I wouldn't say insanely broken, but I do kind of feel like it definitely was worth it. I even sold like Wall Street in some farms, just because I was that confident that, Monkeyonomics would just do kind of that good. At the moment, we are kind of anti-stalling at the minute. Main mobs aren't really doing too much with stalling. Thankfully, once Bloonarius pops and everything, I will hopefully be able to, hopefully be able to stall the rounds a bit better. Even then, Rejuve Potion also comes in clutch with, you know, kind of being able to reset each cooldown. Alright, so I was kind of correct on my hunch about Monkeynomics plus stalling making a ton of money. If you did see there real quickly, it did say it made 180,000 in the span of what was like 20 rounds, I do believe it was, because we started at around 80 and then we ended at around 100. So $180 in, you know, 20 rounds is pretty good in like doing a max stalling. But anyways, we've gotten pretty much maxed out on all the buffs we can give. We got, you know, the Ultra Boost, we got the Perm Brew, we got the Cripple Moab, got pretty much everything at this point. So the only thing I can really do is just kind of hope and pray that, you know, Comanche Commander will have enough in the tank in order to actually be able to do this. Can Comanche Commander be OP again? Well, probably not, seeing as again, even if it is able to beat this, I still don't think it'll be used as much as, you know, the other paths, which is a bit unfortunate. Although I guess its saving grace is that, you know, I can definitely say with confidence that Comanche Commander is definitely used a lot more than Marine. Most people I've seen stop at Downdraft or Chinook, but never really actually go for Marine, which is a bit disappointing seeing as Marine on its own is a fairly strong tower. So I get Chinook in the bottom just to have to Chinook Super Brittle around, which I ended up not doing, as, you know, Comanche Commander did do a pretty decent job at killing it quickly. Unfortunately, I got to check and see how much, you know, Monkeynomics made before I actually sold it, to actually see, you know, how much kind of it made. And so at this point we've gotten, you know, pretty much all support, all max sacrifices for tier 5. True Sun God was banned for this week, but I'm not really sure if True Sun God would make too much of a difference here. Again, I haven't really looked at what the difference between Sun Temple, with the buff between Sun Temple and True Sun God gives. Although I can imagine it might be a difference of maybe like, plus 2, plus 3 damage. Again, I don't really know. True Sun God and Temple, I don't really look at the stacks for that, seeing as again I don't really use it too often except for in the context of bosses. But kind of looking at the damage, it's not really as good as I thought it would be. Seeing as again, you know, Comanche does respond strongly to like damage buffs because of the low damage that it gives. But just kind of looking at it, it doesn't really do as much damage as I really thought it would. Like kind of at this point, it should be doing like, you know, kind of elite defender, like a 205 elite defender levels of like, you know, damage per shot, as again, like, you know, with the Cripple Moab, the Temple, Perm Brew, and all that. But it's not really doing as much damage as I really thought it would. Partly because I haven't really Chinooked Super Brittle yet. Super Brittle is just kind of all the way over there. I definitely did forget to do that, which does lose out on kind of a bit of damage, as Super Brittle gives like plus 4 or plus 5, I believe it is. And we are kind of missing that out. But even then, I'm not really sure if it would make it too much faster. Thankfully, Super Brittle is back in range, and it is doing a bit more damage, but it's still not really looking too great. We're a bit like halfway through, and we haven't even done half damage yet. I guess we're like reaching the halfway point now, but even now, with like halfway mark, we're still not looking too hot. As well as the fact that, you know, we have to pop the bads inside, which shouldn't be too much of a problem, although Comanche is struggling kind of a bit. This bad here is getting a bit far, so the last bad, if we even get to that last skull, is definitely going to be cutting it real close. But just kind of like looking at this now, it doesn't seem like, you know, Comanche Commander will actually be able to beat Bloonarius, which is a bit disappointing, seeing as, again, most towers will be able to do this. Majority of towers were easily able to do this, although again, I did choose a lot of the kind of strong towers. But seeing Comanche Commander just kind of fail this hard is a bit sad, seeing as again, it was like kind of wild to see, like, you know, Comanche Commander be considered one of the best towers in the game, like, you know, when BT6 first came out, like, you know, rivaling, like, you know, pre-nerf permaspike, which was absolutely insane. But now Comanche Commander is just kind of meh, it's forgotten about. Most people I've seen just kind of maybe stop at shove, but I guess that's kind of whatever. Not really sure what NK could do to actually make Comanche Commander more viable. I guess maybe Comanche Defense needs a stronger mid-game, as it is outclassed by Dartship. To end out this video, I'll put up a list of all the towers that weren't able to actually, all the towers that were able to beat and what towers weren't able to beat Bloonarius.